What percentage of people are contributing to the Roth side of their 401k? I'm surprised by this number. When should you be contributing to the Roth 401k? I've got that and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, you need a Roth. You need a Roth IRA. You need a Roth 401k. And yeah, I mean, actually what you need is comprehensive financial planning. And one of those 6 areas of your financial life is tax planning. And that's where you get proactive about your tax situation. Trust me, you're going to want some tax diversification at some point in your life where you've got dollars growing pre-tax that, hey, at some point I'm going to need, there'll be a required minimum distribution on these, or I'll do a Roth conversion or something when I'm in a lower tax bracket. But I'm sure there are going to be times where you're going to want that to fund your 401k, fund your retirement accounts pre-tax to get that deduction. But I'm certain also that there's times when you're going to want to fund your retirement after tax via the Roth, either Roth IRA, Roth 401k, because you're in a low tax bracket today based on what you think out there in the future, or it just makes sense for you to do that. And ultimately what that means is having tax diversification where you've been funding accounts that have different tax sheltering rules to them, different tax treatment, and then they grow over time. And then in retirement, you've got some choice and flexibility as to, okay, this is this is how much income we're going to be drawing off of our investments, and I'd want it to come from this taxable account or this tax-free account in order to maximize my tax strategy. So you're going to want that tax diversification. With the popularity of the Roth IRA, it's been around now for over 30 years, and the popularity recently and all the rules that have been expanded for the Rothification of accounts, this really stood out to me. Apparently, this came from Barron's, just looking at Vanguard, which I think is probably a fair proxy for the entire retirement landscape. Not that they're the largest anymore, but they're still a significant amount of retirement plans. 80%, so 8 out of 10 401k plans at Vanguard have a Roth feature to them. And now that simple IRAs are going to be able to have a Roth component to them as well. I think that number is going to grow. But right now, 80% of retirement plans have a Roth feature available to them. However, this is what stood out. Only 17%, according to this article, according to this research, only 17% of people were actually using the Roth side of the 401k. I would have guessed 50%. And we see a large swath of the population. I know it's skewed because we're only working with folks that actually are saying, I want some financial help, and I have some financial goals that I want to achieve. So can you help me? And so, yeah, even just that willingness means we're working with a pretty narrow segment of the population. Those that are even listening to this video and watching this channel, that's a pretty skewed segment of the population. But I would have assumed 50% of people. And if you were to ask me, well, how often does it make sense? At least 50% of the time, if not more. So if 17% of the population that's all that's using the Roth side of the 401k, but a far greater percentage should be, when are those times when you should be using the Roth? Well, again, you've got to be doing comprehensive financial planning, that tax planning, and because it could change any given year. Your income could go up, it could go down, it could change your perspective on your income for the future. The tax rules could change, and so you want to be doing comprehensive financial planning with a certified financial planner, looking at all 6 areas and making this decision on an annual basis. Will it change every year? No, it won't. But will it change? Could it change any given year? Yeah, it absolutely could. Now, short of doing that analysis, there's 3 times when I would say, okay, if this is your circumstance, then advantage Roth, or I would consider funding that Roth 401k. First, if you're young, if you're young, and I'm just going to say that, I'm not going to put an age limit on it, but if you're young, advantage Roth. And why? Because those dollars grow. The younger you are, the more time you're giving them to grow. The more potential doubles, if you've been watching our daily videos, the more potential doubles that you have with those dollars, the more time they're able to grow. And then with the Roth, the benefit is on the tax-free growth. the tax-free growth. So for example, if you invest 10 grand in a Roth IRA and 10 grand in an IRA, and it grows to 50 grand by the time you retire because you're young, okay, and you've had lots of times for that money to grow and double. Well, that 50 grand, or excuse me, that 40 grand of growth in the Roth IRA will come out tax-free, versus the entire 50 grand in the IRA you'll have to pay tax on it because you deducted the first 10 grand to begin with. So do you want to pay tax on all 50 grand, or do you want that 40 grand to be tax-free? Advantage Roth, because when you're younger, you're giving more time for those accounts to grow, and that means more potential for a tax-free benefit. Next circumstance where I'm going to say Advantage Roth is if you're in a low tax bracket. Now that could take a couple of different shapes, okay? So you could be in a low tax bracket today because you're early in your career. Again, like that goes back to the first one where you're young and early in your career, low tax bracket, off to the races with that Roth IRA. Or you could look and say, well, I'm in a low tax bracket today, and I think I'll be in a higher one out there in the future. And so even though, I'm just making as much money as I possibly can today, I think tax rates are going to go up in the future. I think I'll be able to make more money in the future, and I'll be in a higher tax bracket. So low could be a relative term. It could be a relative term. But if you're in a low tax bracket today, however you would define it, Advantage Roth. Another circumstance that, again, applies in this same sort of category is, well, we were in a higher tax bracket, and today, or just this year only, we find ourselves in a low tax bracket. So what are some of these circumstances? Well, could be a negative where you lost your job or your income's down. Could be a positive, you just added a family member to the family, spouse, or you just had a child, and therefore, your spouse went part-time, or you went part-time, or something to help care for the child, and therefore income dropped, plus you got that deduction, that tax credit, and that tax benefit. And therefore, this year only could be a lower tax year. That could be a time when you would do a Roth, or hey, our income's low, we're going to be in a higher tax bracket in the future. Maybe you own a small business and this is a rougher year, you've got lower profits, something like that. Those are times where you could be in a lower tax bracket today than what you would otherwise be, or than what you expect to be out there in the future. And those are times when you'd want to fund the Roth IRA. An example of this was during COVID. I was meeting with an individual who helped manage about 70 different restaurants that I'm assuming you're familiar with. And obviously that's going to have a significant impact on their finances and their income when everything just shuts down. And so because of their income and because of how everything was structured for them, up until that point, up until March, or really February of 2020, for them it was max out your 401k pre-tax. And then as soon as that happened, we did two things, and it's going to point to this to the final point here. And we said, nope, flip it over to Roth. Make sure that you're funding the Roth IRA, the Roth 401k instead of pre-tax. That was the first thing that we did. But then the second thing that we did is connected to this third tip, this third time circumstance when I would say Advantage Roth, and that is when the market's declining or when the market has declined. And so going back to this example, the market had dropped. By this point, it had probably dropped 20, 25%. And we said, okay, we want that eventual rebound to be in the Roth. And because your income is going to be significantly lower this year, we want your contributions to be Roth. Why would that third circumstance be one that I'd mention? Well, again, the benefit of the Roth is on the growth, okay? Your contribution to the Roth 401k there's no tax deduction, there's no tax benefit for that. But the growth is tax-free out there in the future, assuming you've had a Roth IRA for 5 years and assuming you withdraw the dollars after age 59 and a half. And therefore, you want to have as much possibility for growth as possible. And yes, when you look back over history, you have a pretty strong conviction that the stock market should give it enough time. No matter whether you're buying low and it goes straight up, or you're buying high and then it drops and then whatever, the longer time you give it, there's a greater likelihood, greater percentage, greater confidence that your investment will be growing at a strong compound rate for decades and years to come out in the future. However, if in the short term we've seen a pullback, a bear market, a drop of 20%, or a quick 15% pullback because there's some emerging risk that the market's concerned with, that could be a good time to say, okay, yep, let's contribute to the Roth. It's possible that 15% would, decline could turn into a 30% decline. But at some point, that will inevitably reverse, and the markets will recover. And that recovery, you'd want that to be in a tax-free account. So work with your certified financial planner. See if this year is a time when you should be contributing to a Roth 401k. And if not, are you young? Are you in a low tax bracket today? Or can you catch the market after a decline or in a decline? Those are times when I would say advantage Roth, and it makes more sense to contribute to the Roth IRA or Roth 401k. So work with your certified financial planner on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. You can find us online. Korhorn.com, that's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com, you can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.